What you guys? Today we are checking out the new Trump interview that just went down, and we don't know too much about it. But me personally, I'm very excited to. I look forward to seeing how it went down and what questions were asked and things like that. I've seen like some partial clips here and there on Twitter, but I haven't seen the entire thing just yet. So without further ado, let's go and shut up and turn it up.
There he is.
Mr. President, we so appreciate you giving us an hour of your time. I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals.
Jesus, bro, like, oh boy.
From Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is
Like, damn, dude, you're not appropriate to stand.
not true.
Yep.
You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabbit to describe black district attorneys. You've
Oh my God.
attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Dang, so she's going to get racially political immediately. She's just going to say, why should black people trust you? Like, come on, dude.
Do you want to know what I think is probably really funny about this? I bet Trump probably likes these interviews more than the bullshit ones. I bet he probably does. Yeah, he gets to fight. Yeah, absolutely. I think so.
First of all, I don't think I've ever been
I actually kind of, he probably does like these ones more.
asked the question so in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think
Or
they're a
others.
fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country.
Oh man.
Including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and you know, and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money, they were stone cold broke, and I saved them, and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense. And then you said, you can't do it with Zoom. Well, you know, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom, and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour late, just so we understand. I have 2...
Holy shit. Oh my fucking God.
He's going in. He is going in immediately.
He's so mad. Yes.
much respect for you to be late. They
Imagine being late to your own interview.
couldn't
Like,
get
I'm gonna be honest. At the beginning of this, I was like, ah, shit. This is probably gonna see some boring video. No.
equipment working or something was
President,
wrong.
I would love
think
you
it's
to
a
answer the
very
question on
nasty
your
question.
rhetoric and why you
I have
believe that
answered the
black voters
question.
should trust you with another
I
4
have been
years.
the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln.
Better
That's
than-
my
Jesus.
Better than President Johnson, who signed the Voting Rights Act?
For you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get
Oh
your
my
equipment to work
God.
in such a hostile manner, I think it's a
That's crazy work, dude. She's getting served.
disgrace. I
Let
really
me
do.
just ask a follow-up, sir, and then we'll move on to other questions here. Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol
Oh
Hill,
my
have labeled
God.
Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first black and Asian American woman to
Jesus.
serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire.
Black and Asian. But this is interesting because she was Indian American at first, wasn't she? She was labeled as an Indian
Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell
because she's actually Indian.
those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead.
Doesn't even know what it is. And by the way, you know who else called Kamala Harris a DEI hire? Joe Biden. He literally has said it. I've heard him say it.
Literally, dude.
How do you define it?
Diversity, equity,
They're not even hiding it. They've like plainly admitted it out loud, and this lady right here in the interview is acting like it hasn't happened.
Inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
Give me a
literally the
definition then.
words.
Will you give me a definition of
DEI.
that? Give me a definition.
Sir, I'm asking you a question.
you have
If you're not sure about that, actually just look it up, dude.
Direct
define
question.
it. Define
Jesus Christ. I actually think like Trump is really good at, because I'm the kind of person that if somebody asks me a question, I try to answer their question honestly. Trump's not that kind of person. And he just, like, if you ask him a question, he'll just completely flip the fucking script. He sidestepped it, yes. I think this is actually very, there's a lot to learn from this, I think. Because I feel like this is very effective communication. Not that it's good, but it's very effective.
Define it for me if you
I
will.
just
I have to agree, the charisma is there, the effective communication is there. It's just, you know, like, why sidestep the question?
defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So, I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much, and she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she.
See, this is what I was talking about. This is what I was talking about. It's what, how did you just randomly become black? Like, IRL race change? Like did you pay Blizzard $25 and they race change you in real life or something, dude? Like, what's going on
wants
here?
to be known as black.
Oh my fucking god. Oh my god. Bro, entertainment at its finest, bro. This is nuts.
Oh, this is peak, dude.
So I don't know. Is she Indian?
I'm looking forward to this.
Or is she black?
She has always
But you know
identified
what?
as a black
I
woman. She went to a
respect either
historically black
one.
college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the
Jesus.
way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just be clear, sir. Do you
And
believe
I
that
think
she is?
somebody should look into that too when you continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do
Jeez.
you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some
I
Republicans
really
have
don't know.
said?
I mean, I really don't know. Could be. There are some, and there are plenty. I know
Could be. Yes, definitely could be.
this lady right over there, Harris, is a fantastic person who just interviewed me at length, and we had a great interview, I think, and I heard you got very good ratings on that.
When you told me it was a
He's trying to win somebody else over on the stage, so then they'll be more favorable towards him to make her look oh my god, bro. This guy. Oh god.
Master interviewer, dude. This is this is something that takes a lot of trained speaking. You know what I mean? A lot of time, a lot of practice.
Jesus Christ.
longest one of
It's
your life,
insane.
so we had a good discussion. Look, I want to talk about
A lot of experience, dude.
why you're here
A lot of just charisma. You know what I mean? Just gotta up that up.
today. I mean, it is not lost on us how divided we are as a country. And as you were coming today, we really got to see that we are divided along the lines of race, along the lines of gender. And there is this question of
World class agro management. Yeah, it worked. That's the thing. See, this is. It's crazy that it actually ends up working. He's good at this, yes.
this moment where we are. Why come here? What is your message today?
My message is to stop people from invading our country that are taking, frankly, a lot of problems with it. But one of the big problems, and a lot of the journalists in this room I know and I have great respect for, a lot of the journalists in this room are black. I will tell you that coming from the border are millions and millions of people that happen to be taking black jobs.
Bro, he doubled down on it. Oh my god, this was the thing, bro. Like, oh my god. That's damn.
What are black jobs exactly? What are they? What does that mean? Can anybody explain? Can anybody like define that for me? What are black jobs?
At the best,
What exactly is a black job, sir?
a black job is anybody that has a job. That's what it is. Anybody that has a job.
All right.
And
Mr. President,
they're
can I-
taking the employment away from black people. They're coming in, they're invading. It's an invasion of millions of people, probably 15, 16, 17 million people. I have a feeling it's much more than that. And everybody's been seeing what's happened. The first group of people, the black...
It's gotten to that point probably by now, yeah. That's probably about right. because the invasion's been happening for years now. It's not like it's a new thing. It's been happening for quite a while.
Population is affected most by that, and Kamala is allowing it to happen. She's the border czar. She's the worst border czar in the history of the world. There's never been a border czar like this. She's never even essentially been. She said she was there once, but not the right part of the border. So she is a border czar. She's done a horrible job. These people are coming into our country, and they're taking black jobs and Hispanic jobs, and frankly, they're taking union jobs. Unions are being very badly affected by all of the
People say Trump's performance is horrible. I disagree. I think that he's like a bull in a china shop. All of the things that you're not supposed to say, the things you're not supposed to do, he's literally saying fuck it. People took what he said with like the black jobs and they said this is racist, and he goes back and repeats it to 3 black women on stage in front of an audience of people he just said was black. Yeah, no, I actually think the messaging is very good. Absolutely it is.
millions of people that are pouring into our country.
And the reason why, it's not because of what he's saying, it's the fact that he's saying it confidently in a position that it would be uncomfortable. And I think that goes very far. People will respect.
Oh, absolutely, dude. And in that setting in particular, dude. Like, it's pretty. It's a little bold. You know what I mean? Like, it's a definitely like. I wouldn't say it's risky. I would say it's. He's still saying kind of the right things, right? He's saying it in the right way, but it's interesting how he's putting it. You know what I mean?
That.
Thing as we discussed, many of these people are coming in from mental institutions, from prisons, from jails. They're gang members in other countries. Other countries are setting loose their prisoners. They're opening up their prisons and their mental institutions, and they're taking their bad people, drug dealers, gang members,
Yep.
and they're bringing them into the United States.
No,
and by the way, their crime rate is going down, and our crime rate is going to be a disaster.
Mr. President, I want to get into how you address some of the issues with black communities. And I say that plural because we live in communities of color that are different. We're not all the same. We don't vote the same. We don't think the same.
Sure.
It's not monolithic. So as you come here today, I want to talk about something that bursts. And this is the weight of the inflation on this country right now.
Some people are confused with the Mr. President. This is something I've mentioned before. I think a lot of people that aren't familiar maybe with like U.S. decorum wouldn't know this, and there's like really no reason to know this. But it's actually proper courtesy to refer to even somebody who has been a president but not currently a president as the president, or President Trump, right? President Kennedy, President Eisenhower. So yeah, that's the decorum.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. That's 100% correct. It's just proper form.
So it's not like, what I'm saying is that QAnon isn't actually right, Trump isn't actually running the country, and she didn't accidentally misspeak because all the journalists are in on this, and Biden is actually in a Hollywood studio, and Trump has been running it the whole time. That's actually not what's happening. This wasn't some misspeak or something like that.
The nonprofit Money Management International recently released data from its mid-year analysis that we have found a 52% rise in people who are seeking counseling for being in credit debt. They're paying for food that is sky high on their credit cards, and now they can't pay that off. The credit counseling nonprofit, MMI, as I said, is saying now that they've seen surges that they haven't seen since we were in a pandemic of people in financial trouble. Much of that falls on the shoulders of single moms, single black moms, when you look statistically.
Yeah.
How do you turn it around? What's your plan for the black community when it comes to money?
So, first of all, it's very hard to hear you for whatever reason because of the fact that they have bad equipment, because I guess, this woman was unable to get the right equipment. But it's very hard
Just starts roasting her.
for me to hear you, but I can hear every other word. It's very difficult, actually. But so I don't know if they can fix it or do something with it, but I'll do the best I can with it. The inflation is absolutely destroying our middle class, our working class, virtually every class. Inflation is a disaster in our country. Inflation is a country buster. It breaks every country. And we had, in my opinion, the worst inflation we've had. They say it's 58 years, but I think it's much more than that. It's been devastating. And if you just take a look at a lot of things they don't include, like interest rates. Interest rates went from 2.4% to 10%, and you can't get the money. People can't buy houses. They no longer have the American dream. Young people, young black people, they don't have the American dream anymore. They can't buy a house. They can't borrow the money because of the cost of the money. They can't buy it because of the cost of housing, because of the cost to build it, because of inflation. Inflation is a disaster, and it's...
It has been a disaster, absolutely. It's affected everything, dude. Can't afford groceries no more, dude. Rent's gone up.
It's destroying our country, and it's destroying the black community probably as much or
So what do
more
you do?
than any
What's
other.
your plan?
You know what we have to do? We have to bring down the cost of energy, and that's going to bring down the cost of inflation. This was all started with a bad energy policy by Joe Biden. By the way, just if I might, I was running against a man named Biden. You probably saw that. And he was losing very badly in the polls, and then he had a rather bad debate. I would say it was a bad debate. I would say it was one of the worst debates in history.
That debate was very interesting, to say the least.
It's crazy that, like, there are, like, the ways that he talks, and it's so fucking funny to me, man.
And his poll numbers crashed. And instead of saying, you know, let's keep going, and maybe something happens the other way, they said, oh, we're going to replace him. Let's just replace him. That's like you're in a fight, a prize fighter's in a fight. He's not doing well. You say, let's bring in another fighter. So our whole campaign was steered toward him. Now we have to steer toward him. But ultimately, it's the same because they have bad policy. They have policies of open borders, unbelievable open borders, horrible energy policies. They want to get rid of, as you say, gasoline in cars. They want to get rid of oil. They want to get rid of efficient.
Somebody says, I don't find this funny. It's a stupid man talking and it's a fascist talking at the same time. You need to stop caring about what happens. Let it go.
Facts. Dude, you just gotta let it go. Can't control what happens outside of your own bubble, you know what I mean?
Just let it go. Completely disconnect from this. Stop giving a fuck. Stop getting emotionally attached to this. Try to just sit back and enjoy the show.
That part.
And you can vote for how you feel. But the moment that you let it emotionally affect you is the moment that it controls you. And you're not going to be any better off for that.
100%, dude. I could not have put it better myself.
Than if you
He is spitting right now.
didn't do it.
Heating,
Mr. President.
environmentally, what
Yeah.
they're doing is killing our country. They're absolutely destroying our country. But the inflation is the thing that's hurting the black worker, the black population, and every other population within our country. Inflation is the worst it's been, I think, in over 100 years. And they'll fact check it. They'll say it's only 58. Whatever it may be, they don't add all the numbers. They don't add the really bad numbers, and you can check that too. But inflation, Harris, is absolutely destroying.
He is a businessman, and he's been a businessman for a long time. He probably knows way more about the history of business than your average person.
This country and the people in our country. Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
President, can I ask you another question
Yes,
that is
and-
also impacting black
And that's very clear now. Good.
I'm
Bro,
sorry.
is she just sitting there? Jesus, man. God damn. She's fuming? I know.
Look at her face. It's just.
It's very clear. I hear you.
Okay, so Sonia Massey, someone from Illinois, an unarmed black woman, was shot the other day in her home by a deputy sheriff. Deputy has since been charged with murder.
Good.
You said police would get immunity for prosecution if you win. Why should someone like that officer...
This is actually a great fucking question, and Trump definitely needs to answer this shit because cops do shit wrong. And, like, I hate how it's this fucking all or nothing thing. Yeah, no, she's right. He's fucking wrong about this.
have immunity, in your opinion?
Yeah.
Immunity?
Great question.
Immunity.
I don't know the exact case, but I saw something, and it didn't look good to me. It didn't look good to me. Are you talking with the water, right?
Yeah, well, police unions are not backing this person
Okay,
either.
okay, yeah.
But again,
Are
why would...
they going to be charging the officer? I guess they're charging the officer.
So why should he receive immunity?
Well, he might not. I mean, it depends. It depends on what happens. I'm talking about people that are much different cases than that. We need people to protect ourselves. And by the way, in Chicago, as an example, a few weeks ago, July 4th weekend, they had 117 shootings and 17 deaths. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. We need to have our police officers have the respect and dignity back. In this particular case, I saw something that didn't look good to me. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
So, can you get a little more specific back to the immunity question?
Thank you. Pressing him on this. What a horrible answer.
Yeah.
Who would make those
I'm gonna say that was like like one of the worst answers you could have given.
those
Well, right now,
distinctions?
for the most part, people are protected by their unions, by their police unions, or by their police departments. But I'm saying if I felt, or if a group of people would feel that somebody was being unfairly prosecuted because the person did a good job maybe with crime, or made a mistake, an innocent mistake. There's a big difference between being a bad person and making an innocent mistake. But if somebody made an innocent mistake, I would want to help that person.
What would those exceptions be? What would determine
You
an
go
innocent
after
mistake?
somebody and it's a
Yeah, we need some examples here.
very close call and it's very dangerous. And you know, they have the policeman's life and woman is a very difficult thing because
Selective immunity, in other words, yeah.
sometimes you have less than a second to make a life and death decision.
right, he's
and
right.
sometimes very bad decisions are made. They're not made from an evil standpoint, but they're made from the standpoint of they made a mistake.
So I want to follow up
I want a straight answer.
really quickly. I find it interesting because you do talk about reining in prosecutors, especially when it comes to prosecutors that are prosecuting you. Why doesn't that skepticism apply to law enforcement?
Well, I've been prosecuted because I'm a political opponent of two people that have weaponized our justice system. I've been prosecuted. I just won the big case in Florida. Everyone said that was the biggest case. That was the most difficult case. And I just won it. Now, Biden has a similar case, except much worse. I was protected under the Presidential Records Act. Biden wasn't because he wasn't president at the time. And he had 50 years worth of documents. And they ruled that he was incompetent. And therefore he...
I think that he's not giving a good answer to this. I think the only part of the answer that was good was the component about how police officers have a short time to make a decision, and sometimes it's not it's a bad decision, but it wasn't done maliciously. I think that point was good, but everything before and after that was dog shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
He hasn't really made any valid points. No real good answers here.
shouldn't stand trial. And I said, isn't that something? He's incompetent and he can't stand trial, and yet he can be president. Isn't that nice?
Mr. President,
but they released him on the basis that he was incompetent. They said he had no memory, and he was a nice old guy, but he had no memory, and therefore we're not going to prosecute him. I won the case, and it got very little publicity. I didn't notice ABC doing any publicity on it, George.
We covered you extensively, sir. I'd love to move over on to
I didn't notice you
now.
do any publicity on it at all. I won the case, the biggest case. This is an attack on a political opponent. I have another one.
Probably the
where
biggest
I have
attack.
a hostile judge.
Definitely the biggest attack.
Sir, I'd love to move on to
No,
different topics.
excuse
if
you.
we
You're the
can.
one that held me up for 35 minutes, just so you understand.
Oh my god.
If we can move on now to the state of the race, sir, I want to get back to the campaign. Senator J.D. Vance is your running mate.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of controversy lately, and I want to read you a few things that he has said in the past.
Okay, let's
He
see
said
it.
the Democrats running the country are a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices they've made. And so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. He's not talking here about how great it is to be a parent. He's attacking what he says are the choices people are making to not have children.
Oh my god.
Did you know that he had these views about people who do not have children before you picked him to be your running mate? And do you agree with him?
No, I know this. He is very family oriented, and he thinks family is a great thing. That doesn't mean he
Oh
thinks
my
that
God.
if you don't have a family, it's not. I know people with families. I know people with great families. I know people with very troubled families. And I also know people with no families. They didn't meet the right person. Things happen. You go through life, you don't meet the right
But
person.
he's not just talking
Excuse
about
me.
families here.
And
He also
some of
says
those
that people that don't have children should get less votes than
That's
those
all
that
right.
do.
I'm just speaking for myself.
that your
And I
campaign
think I'm
position?
speaking for him too. He strongly believes in family. But I know people with great families. I know people with not great families that don't have a family. And the people without the family are far better. They're superior in many cases, okay? He's not saying they're not. What he's saying is that he thinks the family experience is a very important thing. It's a very good thing. But that doesn't mean that if you grow up and you grow older and you don't meet somebody that would be wonderful to meet and would have been good, that that's a bad thing. He's not saying that. My interpretation, you'll have to ask him actually, but my interpretation is he's strongly family oriented. But that doesn't mean if you don't have a family.
Here's the reality. Is when he said that it's a bunch of childless cat ladies who want to make everybody as miserable as they are, he can't say that this is true. But
There's something wrong with it.
That's
One last
true.
point and then we'll move on
Yeah,
to-
he can't really say
here, I
that.
think this is a good answer by Trump. Like this is a very, very good answer. It's unfortunate that all the good answers are about the things that don't matter, and all the bad answers are about the things that do matter.
One of the bedrock
It's problematic.
principles of American life
True.
is one person, one vote. Senator J.D. Vance has suggested that someone who has children should have more votes than a person who does not have children. I just want to be clear here. Is that the position of your campaign?
Well, no, but it's not something I've ever heard before. I can tell you this. Right now, you have illegal aliens coming into our country.
There it is. There it is.
Many from
Yep.
prisons and many from mental institutions, and they want to give them votes. I don't think they should have votes. They came into our country illegally,
People
and
who
they're
are only
taking the vote
American
away
citizens
from
are
all
allowed
of the
to vote,
people in
sir.
this room that have been here a long time, that have worked hard, that in many cases, and you'll see this happening, if I'm not elected, you're going to see it
So-
happening. If I am, you're not going to have any problem. But you're going to see it happening. A long time, you're going to see the people in this room
Oh,
and people
man.
outside of this room are going to be losing their jobs to people that have come into this country illegally.
Mr. President, can we stay with just kind of the state of the race right now? Because I felt like that vice president question, candidate question was right in there with that. So let's talk about J.D. Vance for a little bit. He's had some stumbles out of the gate. I don't know if you're hearing what we hear as reporters, but it's been a tough couple of weeks for him. Why did you choose J.D. Vance?
Why are people saying that J.D. Vance was having sex with sofas? Where did this come from? Because like I
What? What in the world is this?
feel like I've never seen him say this. It was in his book. It's a lie. Like they lie about you. Like, cause I don't think that, like, I think that there's a chance he could have done it, but I don't think there's a chance that he would have said he did it. So how will we know? There's no way. Who the fuck goes out and says this as a politician? Yeah, I fucked the couch. How does this come up? First editions had it printed. The second edition removed the admission. Man, I wonder what actually happened. I don't know. Yeah, because this is an important topic.
Why
Why did you choose him? And I'm having a hard time hearing too. I know everybody out there can, but it's
I'll
hard
tell you
to hear.
why. I chose him because he's a very strong believer in work and the working man and woman, and especially the working man and woman who have been treated very unfairly, because you have many of them in this room. But you have many of those people, they were treated very unfairly. They worked very hard and they were treated unfairly. He wrote the book that became a bestseller. The movie became a smash hit. He's a very smart guy. Without the benefit of having a family that has contact, like a father that was well connected, he got into Yale Law School. He graduated in 2 years from Ohio State, summa cum laude. I mean, you take a look at, his career has been an amazing career. He started off at a level with a difficult family situation, very difficult with the mother and the father and everything else. He ends up going to Yale Law School and was one of the top students, became the head of the law journal. I mean, it's an amazing thing. He's a 4-year, he was in the military with great distinction for 4 years, got out, went into business, became successful in business, very successful in business actually, did public offerings and other things. And I have to believe in that. I mean, he's somebody that was born in a rough situation. Most of the people know that situation because it was very well documented in his book. And I have a lot of respect for somebody that can get into Yale and become one of the best students in Yale, that meets a young woman at Yale.
The way he says Yale.
Was also outstanding, and they get married, they have a beautiful family, but he had he's made himself an amazing life. He then goes to Ohio, lives in Ohio, and he had my endorsement. That helped. But he wins the Senate. He becomes a United States Senator. So he's a United States Senator.
Bro, like, I have to say that. Do you know who really hopes Trump is going to win? Every fucking media company. This guy is just. I mean, this is pure fucking. This is crazy. Endless content. Yes.
Yep.
It's insane.
So,
And so, Harris, like I respect you for your success, I respect people
Well,
for
thank
their
you.
success.
the reason I asked the question is because the last time you and I sat and talked was the day that you were shot. We'd been together for much of that day. You left to go to Butler, Pennsylvania, and we didn't know what was next.
Yeah.
And
I'm
2 days
sorry,
after
I
that,
cannot understand. Your microphone
I know,
so
it is
low.
really hard for me
I
to
mean, it's just,
understand you
I
too.
can understand you perfectly.
Push
Whoa.
this closer.
So he's trying to get her to move, I bet.
I can understand you.
Happy to hear that,
But
sir.
I can't
Really happy to hear
understand,
that.
Harris,
I have a few more questions.
because of the distance, and the mics are really in lousy shape, but I cannot understand
Are
So,
you asking a question?
what you're saying.
so what I wanted to say was the last time we spoke, you said some words that were prophetic because I asked you who you wanted to choose for vice president.
Yep.
And you said normally it really wouldn't matter what they would, you choose somebody that you think has a future, that sort of thing. But you said these words 3.5 hours before an attempted assassination on your life. You told me that bad things happen, Harris. And that's why this
Did you see the whole thing with the water? He just grabbed her water.
decision is important this time. Bad things happen. You said it
His
twice.
right here on the left.
When you look at J.D. Vance, is he ready on day one?
Does he what?
Ready on day one, if he has to be.
I've always had
What? That's a great fucking question. That's a great way to phrase the question. That's so good.
great respect for him, and for the other candidates too. But I will say this, and I think this is well documented. Historically, the vice president, in terms of the election, does not have any impact. I mean, virtually no impact. You have 2 or 3 days where there's a lot of commotion as to who, like you're having it on the Democrat side. Who,
I don't really agree with that. I think that, for example, having Biden on the Obama ticket, like, it definitely kind of, like, made voters like, oh, okay, it's going to be fine. Like, it's basically, like, if you have, like, a kind of out there candidate, and we'll get to Palin, right? That's the other side. If you have an out there candidate, sometimes having a vice president that kind of like, I feel like basically what ends up happening is that the vice president compliments the president in the way that the president is not. So like if the president is extreme, then the vice president is non-extreme. If the president is non-extreme, then the vice president is extreme for more extreme votes, right? So you have somebody like Sarah Palin, like that affected John McCain massively. I think it did. Then you had Kamala Harris, right? Obviously, Joe Biden is like the traditional super establishment. They bring on Kamala Harris, comparatively much younger, and also like a minority and a woman. And so that brings in that group of people that may feel alienated.
Yep. DEI hire, right?
From just a Biden ticket, right? So yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, and also Trump, like Vance is 39. I think this is absolutely a point. Again, complimenting Trump because Trump is 78.
it's going to be, and then that dies down, and it's all about the presidential pick. Virtually never has it mattered.
Vivek would have been better. I agree. I don't think, I think J.D. Vance has said a lot of really funny things that I agree with, but I think that in all circumstances and in all cases, picking Vivek would have been a better option, and it was a mistake not to do it.
Maybe Lyndon Johnson mattered for
I think Vivek would have been probably good in some cases, but I don't know, man.
different reasons of what we're talking.
And I think that that should be taken seriously because this is, in my opinion, the second bad decision that he's made in terms, like, I didn't think Mike Pence was that great either. But Mike Pence was supposed to show it's going to be business as usual for Republicans in the same way. And I think that in picking bad partners and picking bad people to work with, this does indicate a lack of judgment. Pence is a fucking loser. Well, either way, right? All I'm saying is like it's a lack of good judgment.
Not for vote reasons, but for political reasons, other political reasons. But historically, the choice of a vice president makes no difference. You're voting for the president, and you can have a vice president who's outstanding in every way, and I think JD is. I think that all of them would have been. But you're not voting that way. You're voting for the president. You're voting for me. If you like me, I'm going to win. If you don't like me, I'm not going to win.
I'm going to get my J.D. Vance question in.
JD Vance?
I'm going to get my J.D. Vance
Sure.
question in. To your point and to Rachel's point, he,
Based.
you know, has a lot of opinions about childless women like myself or divorced people like yourself. Do you think, well, I mean, my
But
point
at
is
least
here.
it was said in a friendly manner.
My point is, do you think the Republican Party is getting a little bit too
What's
judgy about
happening?
people's lives when you think about abortion or when you think about what J.D. Vance is saying?
I don't think, look, I think that the Democrat Party is really the one that has the problem. I think they're radical on abortion because they're allowing abortion in the 9th month. They're allowing the
But
death.
I think it's
They're
about
allowing
freedom,
the death
right?
of a baby after the baby is born, based on
Sir,
the
that's
governor of
illegal in
Virginia.
every state in the
That's-
country.
Based on the governor of Virginia,
Executing a
they're
baby in
allowing the
every
death
state
of
in
the
the country
baby
is illegal.
after it's born. They're
It's a
allowing
crime.
abortions in the 8th and 9th month.
Well,
of
Democrats
pregnancy.
have denied-
I think they're.
I think the abortion issue is a bad issue. I do. I think it's. I don't think they should push this.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
the Republican
Killing
Party is
babies
actually much
is
less. I
bad.
think I've made them much less radical, perhaps, but the Republican Party, what we're doing is bringing it back to the states where everybody wanted it. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservative, everybody wanted abortion brought back. They didn't want Roe v. Wade in the federal government. They wanted it, everybody
But the
wanted
majority
it
of
back.
Americans oppose
Excuse
Roe
me.
v. Wade being
They
overturned.
They
Multiple
don't know
polls have
about
showed that,
this.
sir.
Right now they're voting. It brought it back to the states. Now I happen to believe in the 3 exceptions. Ronald Reagan believed with rape, incest, life of the mother. I do. I think most people do. I think most Republicans do also.
They do.
But if you take a look, right now they're doing, it's an amazing thing. Out of the federal government, it's in states, and people are voting. And I will say, Ohio is, let's call it a more liberal version, has been approved. Kansas, the same thing, a little bit surprising to a lot of people. But the people are now voting. And it's taking this issue that's been going on for 52 years and has torn our country apart, and it's giving it to the people to vote on. And they're voting. And many states have already voted. Others are in the process of voting. And it's bringing it back to the people and a vote of the people. And it's not at all radical. And again, you have to follow your heart. I happen to believe in the three exceptions. Most people believe in the three exceptions. Most Republicans believe in
Over 90% of abortions are voluntary.
the exceptions.
Yes, yep, that's a very factual statistic. You can check that for yourself.
But they don't want to see an abortion in the 9th month or the 8th month. Almost everybody agrees to that. And they certainly don't want to see, in the case of the governor
I think it's
of
93.
Virginia, the former
Yeah.
governor, I might add, who said, we
Probably
should
higher than 90%.
and then we decide what to do. Meaning, what do? We execute the baby.
Can I-
That's a radical, horrible position. And some people want that. I don't want it. Most people don't.
Thank you. Can I just pivot really quickly to another question?
This is what's the problem with voluntary abortions. I mean, you guys know what I think about abortion, right? I'm in favor of abortion. I think abortion's fine. I even think late-term abortion is okay. The reason why is that I don't think it's okay, but I don't think the government can make a better choice on it than the parent can. And I think the amount of government oversight in making the decision will cause more harm than good. And so basically, like, I think obviously, like, abortion is kind of a medieval thing to do. It's awful. But I think that you should obviously be able to do it. And I think that the majority of people that get late-term abortions get them for very serious reasons. It's not like somebody just decides 8.5 months into the pregnancy, wait, never mind.
See, I'm only for it in terms of, like, for medical reasons, right? To save a life, to save a mother's life, or in those other cases that were mentioned, right? But otherwise, I can't stand for it, just 'cause. I mean, I get what he's saying about how the government shouldn't have control over it. I pretty much agree with that. I just mean, like, I just don't stand for killing the babies. You know what I mean?
About you brought up health, Harris. You're an active man. We see you golfing all the time. But
And also, I'm saying it does happen, right? It does happen. It's just that I think that it happens so infrequently, and the legislation and the creating of rules around preventing it from happening will create more harm than good as a net outcome. I think that it's bad too, but I don't think that you can make a rule that can prevent it from happening in something that's bad without there being a lot of collateral damage. I understand that, like, that's not a great answer to have. It's not a great way to look at it, but I think that's the best way to look at it. They should be rare. Yes, and they are rare.
if you win, you'll still be president at 82,
Yeah.
which is older than Biden is right now.
But not
Would you-
mentally. Look, mentally.
Here's the question.
He's shot. But most people,
Would you
most people, I know many people in their
Yeah.
80s and their 90s that are in great shape. Some of our
He's right
greatest
about
leaders.
that.
You
Yeah.
look at throughout the world history, the greatest leaders, some of the greatest leaders in the world were in their 80s.
But here's the question. Would you consider stepping down if you felt that your health was declining? Or would you?
Oh, absolutely.
And who would
I
make,
think I'd know.
How would you make that decision?
I think I'd know. Look, if I came onto a stage like this and I got treated so rudely as this woman treated
Oh my
me,
goodness.
and I'm fine with it because she was very rude, sir. Very rude. That was a nasty, that wasn't a question. She
Sir,
didn't
you
ask
can
me a
answer the
question.
question.
She gave a statement. That wasn't a question.
I repeated your
Answer the
statement, sir,
question.
actually.
You said you would. You would.
Oh,
make that
absolutely.
decision
If I
to step
thought
down.
that I was failing in some way, I want people to be sharp. I'll go a step further. I want anybody running for president to take an aptitude test, to take a cognitive test. I think it's a great idea. And I took 2 of them and I aced them.
Well, can I
got-
just-
I took 2 of them. But let me ask you.
Yeah.
I would like to have
To be fair, this is as good of an answer as he could give. It is. This is good of an
people
answer.
running for president. And I don't mean because they're 75 or 85. I think anybody running, I'd like to do it. People say it's not constitutional. I would like to have something passed where you can do it. I think we should know. I mean, I've watched what's happened in the last couple of years under this gentleman, and our country is a mess. We have inflation.
Here we go.
The
Here we
millions
go.
of people falling in. We have Afghanistan, which was the
Yeah.
worst, most embarrassing moment in the history of our
Like,
country.
oh, shit, he's
What
doing
he
it
has done
again.
to our country and her too. What they've
Ah, shit. You go again.
done to our country. She has been a horrible vice president. She's considered the worst vice president in the history of our country.
Mr.
Don't mean
President,
you, but would you consider taking the cognitive test
Mr. President,
I would love to
and
do
make
it.
it public?
Well, I've already taken 2 of them, but I'll do it again.
Mr.
I
President,
suggested,
how do you intend to...
I suggested, Harris, that let's take one. I said, Joe and I will go and take a cognitive test. Now, I'd do it with her, too. I would do it with her also. You know what? She failed her law exam. She didn't pass her law exam, so maybe she wouldn't pass the cognitive test.
Oh my fucking god. Jesus, man. This is crazy. Dude, is a savage? Yeah. Holy shit. Is all content? I know, man. This is insane.
Mr. President,
You're saying she wouldn't pass.
This is a crazy interview.
Just to be clear,
I'm just giving you the facts.
to be clear, you don't think
I'm
Harris
just
how do you
giving you the
intend,
facts. She
and
didn't
look,
pass her bar exam, and she didn't think she would pass it, and she didn't think she was going to ever pass it, and I don't know what happened. Maybe she passed it. I
She
guess
did pass it.
There's a
She
man
did-
over
she
here. I
did in
think
fact
he
pass
must
it.
work.
Mr. President, I would love to ask you about January 6th. You called yourself the candidate of law and order. When Time Magazine asked you if you would consider pardoning all the rioters, you said, yes, absolutely.
Sure.
You called them patriots. 140 police officers were assaulted that day.
This is the kind of stuff that really makes him something that's only like something like this doesn't come around every 10 years, man.
That's her water.
I want you to take a look at the water. Now, he has his water over here.
This is amazing.
This is something this is really special, bro. This is something I didn't even notice this. Yeah. This is the thing, man. It's a power move. Oh my fucking god!
Power move.
I didn't even notice. Yeah.
Their injuries included broken bones, at least one officer lost an eye, one had 2 cracked ribs, 2 smashed spinal discs, another had a stroke. Were the people who assaulted those 140 officers, including those I just mentioned, patriots who deserve pardons?
Well, let me bring it back to modern day. Like about 5 days ago, we had an attack on the Capitol. A horrible attack on the Capitol. You saw
they
the
did
people
another
who
one?
were protesting and
Oh, yeah.
spraying
Yeah,
these
yeah.
incredible monuments, bells, lions, all these magnificent limestone and granite with red paint, red spray paint that will never actually come off, especially on the limestone. It will never, I'm a builder, I know about this stuff. It'll never, you'll see it in 100 years from now. They viciously attacked our government. They fought with police. They
God.
fought with them much more openly than I saw on January 6th. What's going to happen to those people? What's going to happen to the people in Portland that destroyed
my
that?
Never, dude, bro. The best defense is a good offense. Not even about January 6th. Like, it's not
That's right.
nothing to fucking do with that. It's not. It's got nothing to do, bro. Like, what are you talking about this shit for?
Question is on those.
What's going to happen to
My
the people
question is
that
on
tried
those
to burn
rioters
it?
who assaulted
Excuse me.
officers.
You have to
Would
ask,
you pardon
what's
those
going to
people?
happen? Oh, absolutely, I would.
You
If
would
they're
pardon
innocent-
them?
If they're innocent, I would pardon them.
They've been convicted.
And by the way, the Supreme Court just well, they were convicted by a very...
Well, I mean, you know how. There you go.
very
Well,
tough system. They were. How come
It was
the
rigged.
people that tried to burn down Minneapolis? How come the people that took over a large percentage of Seattle?
Oh,
how come
Chaz.
nothing happened to them? How come the
But
people
sir, we're
that,
talking about
how
people
come
that
the
were
people,
seen
no,
beating
We're
officers
talking
with
about
flagpoles,
federal buildings.
dragging them down the stairs. They're on
They-
video. Have you seen that
Really?
video,
Oh,
sir?
really? Well, they
you would
shot-
pardon those. You would pardon those rioters?
They shot a young lady in the face who was protesting. They shot her in the face. You know, nobody died that day. You do know that. But people died in Seattle. Nobody died, but people died in
140
Minneapolis.
People did die. Like, he just said that she got shot in the face. He meant police.
Because you know people died in
Assaulted that
Minneapolis,
day.
and nothing happens, and nobody ever talks, and nothing happens to those people. But you went after the J6 people with a vengeance. And I'll tell you what about the cops that were, and I'm all for the police, as you know, but what about the police that are ushering everybody into the Capitol? Go in, go in, go in. What about...
My understanding with that is that, like, I mean, I don't know. My understanding was that I bet the police probably did that because they couldn't maintain a perimeter. That's probably what I think happened. Because I remember there was a lot of concerns that there wouldn't be enough,
I feel like it was that it was planned.
like, enforcement at the time. And then the additional, like, requests for enforcement were declined. The problem is, like, I don't really know how true that is. Because, like, the entire situation is, like, so politicized that I don't really know what actually happened there. It's not true. Yeah. Well, one way or another, there wasn't enough people there. There's a video of a guy unlocking a set of doors and waving people to go inside. Then why do you spread this bullshit then? Well, I'm asking a question, right? That's clearly what it is. Yeah, I'm asking a question. Yeah, because I'm not really sure. That's what I've heard. Because, like, I saw videos of people in January 6th breaking the windows. Like, that's bad. I don't know what you want me to say. Like, yeah, it's bad. And that's bad. And that's very bad. Like, here, if you were breaking a window or you were walking out of the Capitol with anything that you didn't walk in with, you should not get fucking pardoned. Absolutely not. It's not even a question. If you walked inside and you thought that it was okay, I can see those people, all right, fine. Just move on, it's okay. But if you're talking about people that were stealing things, people that were violent, people that were aggressive towards police, people that were destroying property, they should absolutely not get pardoned. It's not even a question. I'm not talking about just somebody that walked inside. Who cares? Get the fuck out of here. But that's not the point.
Look,
No one was
nothing is
Yeah, it's not a
perfect in
question.
life. But you have people from Minneapolis, you have people just from 5 days ago in Washington, D.C. They were having fistfights and fighting with the police. They were spraying and destroying, they were desecrating our monuments in Washington, D.C.
See, I have the very extreme opinion that I think the police should have come and arrested all those protesters too. The moment they started destroying the property, they should have been immediately arrested, sent to jail. It's not even a question. Like,
Oh, 100%. I don't know why they're not doing anything about it.
how is this even a conversation?
D.C. 5 days ago,
Yeah.
and nothing happened to them.
Was that extreme?
And you
Because I think
have-
the same
you
thing about
can't
January
have
6th.
two systems of justice.
They're both
That's
bad.
why they went after me as a political opponent, because they felt they couldn't win without doing that. And we're going to win our cases, and we're going to be vindicated. But I have to spend a lot of time on that and money. That's what they want. After the election, they won't care. Although in my case, I think they probably will, because the hatred is pretty deep. But I'll tell you, they went after me as a political opponent. That's never happened in our country before, and it sets a terrible, terrible precedent.
What do you do on day one if you win? What's your first thing?
What do? I close the border. And I do two things, because I can do a lot of things simultaneously. I close the border. We don't want people coming. We want people to come in, Harris, but they have to be vetted. They have to be checked. They have to come in legally. I want people to come into our country, but they have to be vetted. They have to be checked. So when you say, what do I do? That, and I drill, baby, drill. I bring energy way down. I bring interest rates down. I bring inflation way down, so people can buy bacon again, so people can buy a ham.
Damn
There
right.
it is. Drilling, bacon, no borders. Or close the borders. Man.
Sandwich again, so that people can go to a restaurant and afford it. Because right now, people can't buy food. Your grocery bills are up 40, 50, 60%.
It's crazy.
Right? She's agreeing to me. Oh, she's agreeing. Thank you. I like you very much.
Mr. President, I think we are.
But it's true.
I
Your
think-
grocery bills are up. And then they're mandating that you buy an all-electric car. You know, Elon Musk endorsed me, and he's a friend of mine. He's a good guy. He's a smart guy. But I'm against everybody having an electric car. Okay? I'm very much against that. You have to be able to, if you want a hybrid or if you want a gasoline-propelled car. But, you know, we have more liquid gold, gasoline, oil, under our feet than any other country. More than Saudi Arabia, more than Russia, more than any other country. I want to use it. I want to use what we have. I want to bring down prices, bring down costs, and I also have to stop the invasion. And remember, they're taking your jobs. These people coming in are taking your jobs.
Project 2025.
I think we have to leave it there by the Trump team.
All right.
So leave it. That is the last word. Thank you so much,
Project
Mr. Trump, for coming.
2025.
today
Dieter
and joining us.
Gritcher.
Well, thank you very much.
They've been telling us.
Alright, so what did you guys think about that? I thought that was a very high energy interview. I thought that was interesting. Do you guys think that Trump like massacred the interview? Was a bloodbath, so to speak? I mean, I feel like there was just some points where he just didn't answer the questions very well. I mean, but this has been like a common theme for him, right? Like, there's been some cases where he's just absolutely slayed, but then there's some others when it gets more serious, when the questions matter more, that he just, you know, kind of sidesteps the question and just when you don't have a good defense, or good defense is an offense, right? He just goes in and just goes on about another subject and it's just yapping, right? But what do you guys think? I thought that was interesting. If you liked it, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel for more, and share with your homies. And peace.
Talk is cheap, I keep my Cardi's on. Let it sing, this that Ari Lennox. Call my bluff, boy, you know the business. Do some, 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 do some.